What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this, we have Dutch versus U.S. taxes. The truth about it. So from what I hear in the Netherlands, it's much higher taxes than we pay here in the U.S. But you guys do get a lot more social benefits than we get, such as I think y'all have universal health care. I'm not sure if y'all have child care that's covered by taxes. I'm not sure whether college is covered by taxes. But y'all just see a lot more of where your taxes go to. You see a lot more benefits than I feel like we do with our taxes. Before we dive in, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe, get a video a thumbs up. Also, if you'd like to support this channel by becoming a member, all you gotta do is hit that join button to receive your exclusive benefits. Let's dive in.
What if I told you the 50% Dutch tax rate is actually a myth, but it's actually 18%? Coming from the US, one of my biggest concerns living in the Netherlands was lower salaries and higher taxes. In the Netherlands, it's 50%, but it's not really true. And I'm here to tell you the truth. I used to work in a Big Four accounting firm, so I crunched some numbers for you. And now that I work in human resources, there's another interesting cultural phenomena that I've discovered that's related to how big Dutch taxes are. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, "No, I don't want the promotion. I have to pay higher taxes in exchange for more responsibility, more stress. I'm okay where I am." What? Coming from the US, this was unheard of. But later on, I understood why. And lastly, as an American who has lived, studied, worked, and gotten laid off in the Netherlands, I can now see why taxes can be so big. So in this video, let me clear a few things up. And let me argue that Dutch taxes can be high, but not as high as one may think. The Dutch tax system promotes being average. And Dutch taxes, while they can be high, they contribute to a high quality of life. Now, keep in mind, while there are many taxes in the country, I'm going to focus on two: income taxes and the Dutch wealth tax. And I'm also coming with an American lens. So let me quote Ben Franklin, who once said, "Nothing is certain but death and taxes." Dutch taxes can be high, but they're not as high as one may think. But first, what do we mean by high? High is subjective. So let's take a look at some of the highest income tax rates in Europe to see what high actually means. In Europe, the average top personal tax rate is 43%. Denmark, France, and Austria have the highest top rates around 55%. And the Netherlands, it's up there too with a top rate of 49.5%. And for comparison purposes, the US federal and state average top rate is around 42%. But most people will never pay this 50%. Let me explain. In the Netherlands, income is taxed at a different rate based on different income levels. And
Jesus, look at the percentage. Keep me in that 0 to 38,000 pound range, bro. You passed 38,000 pounds. Well, 38,441 pounds. And you jump from 8.17% to 37%. So you're telling me the person who is making 76,817 pounds at the end of the day is going to walk home with the same amount, near the same amount as the person making 38,000 pounds because of... Talk to me.
You get taxed 50% once you reach 77,000 euros. But the thing is, most Dutch people will make anywhere between 40 and 45,000 euros per year.
That was still
meaning
37%.
Most people will never even see this 50% tax rate. And the income tax rate we should all care about is the effective or real tax rate. It's what we actually pay in taxes in the end. Oh yeah, one more thing. The government gives us tax credits which lower our tax bill. Think of it like a gift from the government for paying your taxes. So when you calculate your real taxes after deducting these credits, the real Dutch tax rate actually looks something like this. What we can see is that the average Dutch person making around 40K actually pays a real tax rate of around 17%.
So it's not the 37% that we saw, which was astronomical. So 17%, that's not really that bad for a $40,000 salary. I mean, yeah, that's not bad. So you really got to get to like 100K before you see 38 to 40%. Yeah.
And it's only after 100K where the real tax rate starts going up from 40%, but only 5% of the Dutch population makes over 100K. And I was curious, since I'm from California, known for having the highest state income taxes in the US, how does it compare? What's interesting is that at lower salaries, the real tax rate in California is higher. The average salary in California is around $75,000 with a real tax rate of around 26%. In California, you only hit a 40% real tax rate once you make $300,000, which is possible because salaries are higher. So let's look at a realistic example. For the average person, you actually pay more in taxes in California. Now, for high-paying professions, not only do you earn more in California, but you get taxed less compared to the Netherlands. In fact, the tax foundation...
You got to get to that high income bracket, and then as in the U.S., that's when you like Gucci on them. And they going to find a way to squeeze them taxes to a lower rate to figure out how to avoid... Once you get to a certain level, I feel like you come with so much you can get the right people. You get the right people to figure out how to avoid a lot of taxes.
Found out that the average effective tax rate in the Netherlands is around 18%. We can compare this to Denmark, who holds the title for the highest tax rates in Europe at 56%. But actually, in Denmark, most Danes actually pay 50% in taxes. But in many other European countries known for its high income taxes, Belgium, Germany, the Netherlands, most people end up only paying around 20 to 30% in taxes, not 50%. You would need to be a millionaire to pay 50% in taxes. So myth debunked. In the Netherlands, most people don't pay anywhere near 50% in taxes. The average person pays around 18%. But wait, there's more. The Dutch wealth tax. If you're rich, run away. The Netherlands wants your money. Every year, the government taxes...
If you're rich, run away. The Netherlands wants your money. You see Max Verstappen in the Red Bull car.
...your worldwide assets. This includes your bank savings, checking, stocks, shares, bonds, crypto, post-tax retirement accounts, cash, rental property, second homes. And the government taxes these assets based on a theoretical rate, which has caused controversy because it's not a real rate. Now, calculating the wealth tax is complicated, but let's take a look at a quick example. If I have 150,000 euros in a bank, no investments, no debt, then I would need to pay around 500 euros in Box 3 wealth tax. Now, if I was financially smart, I wouldn't just leave all that money in my bank account, which is earning 0% interest. So let's say next year I keep 50K in my bank account, but I invest 100,000 euros. Then I'd have to pay around 1,500 euros in the Dutch wealth tax. Now, let's assume the following year, my crypto investments go crazy and my investment account now becomes 500,000 euros. Then I'd have to pay 10,000 euros in wealth tax. Coming from the US where there isn't a direct wealth tax, I wasn't and I'm still not used to this wealth tax. Because in the US, we're not taxed on our savings and our investments are only taxed when we sell them at the end. But the point is, in the Netherlands, the government taxes...
Yeah, because my thing is, you already taxed me on that money in my bank account. Like, you already taxing me. Because it's coming from my paycheck, which I'm still putting in the bank account. So how can you tax me on the check and then tax me again for putting some of the already taxed money away? How is that possible?
Is your worldwide assets every year. And if you do have a lot of assets, be prepared to pay a lot every year in a Dutch wealth tax. And without a doubt, I 100% know I'm going to get comments about a very sensitive Dutch income tax topic, the 30% ruling. In order to attract highly skilled migrants for specialized jobs, there's a tax benefit that gives these workers 30% of their salary to be tax-free. Now, in 2022, there were around 100,000 people who had this benefit, or around 0.6% of the population. It's mainly for foreigners, but it's also available to Dutch people who have been abroad but decide to come back. I'm not going to go into whether it's good or bad, but it's caused a lot of controversy and even hate. And hopefully I've convinced you that Dutch taxes can be high, but not as high as most think. Dutch taxes promote being average. I remember my first year working in the Netherlands, and I was talking to a Dutch guy about cultural differences. He told me that Dutch people don't want to be as ambitious as Americans. He then told me that a lot of Dutch people don't want to climb the corporate ladder after a certain level. There's no financial incentive. I didn't really
I feel that.
understand. And then he started talking to me about Dutch taxes. He told me that a lot of people do want to get promoted, but only up to a certain level where it's enough. For example, he makes a good salary, but he told me that he's turned down several promotions because he said it wasn't worth it. You get taxed more, and the extra money you get isn't enough for the extra responsibility and stress. And then I started working in HR, and I would hear the same story. People saying no to promotions. You get taxed more, and the extra
I
money
feel
you
that.
get isn't enough for the extra responsibility and stress.
I
And
feel
I
that.
just found this so interesting. Many people are okay staying where they are. For
I
example,
feel like I've been the same in terms of like when there's like manager positions and jobs that I've worked and I'm like just regular employee. I've never wanted to like be the person in charge. I just feel like it's too much responsibility, and a lot of times it only comes with like $1 per hour raise, and that's just not enough to me to make a difference. Like I need to make like 20K more a year to accept the extra responsibilities and stress and everything that comes along with that promotion. Um, so yeah, I've always been okay with being average, and I've always thought that was a terrible thing because like why aren't you trying to be above and beyond? I just was never me. That just was never me. I do a lot on YouTube, but I don't necessarily have a boss, and so there's a difference. And I'll take the extra responsibilities on YouTube because I enjoy this. But at a lot of jobs, I was like, I don't care, bro. $1, $2 extra hour isn't worth the headache to me.
this is a very common conversation. A senior specialist makes around 75,000 a year. His manager is getting promoted, so senior leaders want him to be promoted to the manager. And the manager's salary is around 90K. Now the extra 15K in salary, that's mostly taxed at 50%. So you get around
Oh,
6.5K more after taxes, which
that ain't
is an
worth
extra
it.
500 euros per month or an extra
Yeah,
25 euros per working day. But
nah, that
then
ain't
he
worth
now
it.
has to manage a team, more meetings, more
Yeah,
responsibility. Is 25 euros extra per day worth it? So for many,
nah,
there's not a
nah.
huge financial incentive to continue climbing the ladder after a certain point. But from a cultural perspective, things are different too. American culture is about achieving more, making more. Dutch culture is more
But
about staying normal, average, not standing
mm,
out. I mean, do normal or just be normal is kind of like the country's favorite saying. And the Dutch tax system seems to support this mentality too. But it's fine for the normal Dutch person. You don't need to be a millionaire. You can be average and still live a great life. Because the Netherlands is one of the happiest countries in the world with one of the highest qualities of life. And a big part of it is due to Dutch taxes. Dutch taxes can be high, but they contribute to a high quality of life. I
I
had
agree
no
with
idea what a
this.
social safety net was before coming to the Netherlands. Now, in the US, there aren't many social safety nets, so we have to make more money to save for
Mm-hmm.
retirement, for emergencies, and you hope to find a company with a good healthcare plan. But in the Netherlands, I do see where my taxes go. It's used to pay for things like social services, education, healthcare, infrastructure, and more. Now, there's a lot, but let me share and talk about a few that I've experienced myself. Healthcare is universal and affordable. Almost 100% of the population has health insurance. Most pay around 160 euros a month with a 385 euro deductible. And if you're
Okay.
unemployed or low income, the government gives you money to pay for health insurance. For example, when I was studying in the Netherlands, I
Clutch.
had a part-time job making minimum wage, but I received every month money from the government, around 100 euros, to pay for my health insurance. And as someone who
That,
got laid off last year, I just continued paying 170, 80 euros for my health insurance. Now in the US, because healthcare is usually tied to the company, if you get
yeah.
laid off, paying for healthcare can be really expensive. Thank you, Dutch
You feel
taxes.
like you almost finally got to figure out a different healthcare plan too, because maybe that plan was tied to your job and you're not allowed to be on that plan outside of your job. So you got to find different healthcare plan. It's a lot.
And speaking of education, as a non-EU student, I did pay higher study fees, so it wasn't entirely subsidized. But if you're an EU student, your education is subsidized. EU students pay around 2,500 euros in tuition per year, or around 10,000 euros for a 4-year degree. In the US, we pay anywhere between 10,000 to 30,000 per year in tuition, which comes out to around 40,000 to 120,000 for a 4-year degree.
Yeah, mine was about 9,000 to 10,000 a year.
That's expensive. Many students also get healthcare allowance, rent allowance, and they get to travel around the country for free on public transport, thanks to Dutch taxes. And let's not forget about the infrastructure, the cycling infrastructure. It's connected to public transport. For example, 50% of all public transport trips start or end with a bike. The infrastructure makes getting around really easy. And I cycle every day, which is good for my well-being and also good for the environment. There are other benefits as well. For example, when I got laid off, I received 5 months of unemployment pay because I worked 5 years. I know colleagues and other people who worked for 10, 15 years and they got 10 to 15 months of unemployment. Now, these are just some of the social benefits that I've received or experienced. I'm sure there are plenty more, so if you have a story to share, please leave them in the comments below. Now, at the beginning, I was actually scared of 50% Dutch taxes. But the truth is, most people pay around 18% in income taxes. But if you're someone who is ambitious or has wealth, the Dutch tax system might not be for you. And while it may sound that I love taxes, I'm still scared of those blue envelopes. But I do see where my taxes go. And a big indirect benefit of Dutch taxes is I have less anxiety. I don't have to worry about healthcare. I don't have to worry about saving hundreds of thousands of dollars to pay for my kids' education. And I don't always need to worry about climbing the ladder or making more. And the nice thing is, most people live a high quality of life in the Netherlands. Imagine that. You can be average, but live an above average life.
Facts. That sounds good.
And if you like access to more finance resources regarding the Netherlands and the US, including wealth tax and cost of living calculators, you can join my Patreon community. It's a place where I share exclusive content and answer any questions you may have.
There you go. Yeah, a place where you can be average but live with an above average life. I like the sound of that, Netherlands. I do. And now that he broke down like the taxes, and I don't think they're 50% anymore, 18% ain't bad. Ain't bad. And you live a good quality of life. So I mean, shout out to the Netherlands. Yeah. I've been misled by wrong information, and now I'm finally getting it right. That's all we have. If you guys enjoyed, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, check out the next one. I'll see y'all next time.